It's 6:36. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on this Friday in your nation's capital. We got you covered right up to when your weekend begins here on WMAL. Coming up at 7:05, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. 7:35, Rich Anderson, chairman of the Virginia Republican Party. And at 8:35, Representative Byron Donalds of Florida. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka.
Happy Friday, Larry.
Happy Friday to you, too. And it's always nice to have a candidate for Congress from Maryland. You know, we got because you and I are the only Marylanders on this show.
I know.
Everybody, well, that's not true. Our executive producer Heather Hunter is also
Maryland.
a Marylander too. But I actually happen to live in the Third Congressional District, so this guy wants to be my representative.
Oh, so he needs to win your vote.
At the very least, and many others. Art Baker joins us now, and of course, the website is Art for Maryland, and the primary early voting has begun now for the primary of May 14th. Yes. So this is the home stretch, Mr. Baker. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry and Patrice, for having me. Really appreciate it.
Good morning.
I love the bio. You're a former FBI agent, former actor and voice performer, and a former radio DJ. Wow, that's quite a journey to Congress.
Yes, and I've actually done about 7 years on Capitol Hill.
Oh, wow.
You have in what capacity?
I was detailed from the FBI to the House Judiciary Committee for about 5 years, working on various pieces of legislation.
Oh, terrific.
And then I retired in 2017 and was recruited to go back up and do some work on House Judiciary and then the Senate Judiciary Committee, working for Mr. Lindsey Graham, looking at some of the allegations and improprieties alleged that the FBI had done on the presidential campaigns and whatnot.
Well, this is great because it seems like one of the lead candidates to get the Democrat nomination. It's a very crowded field. There's like 10 trying to get the Democrat nomination. But Harry Dunn has been endorsed by Jim Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, Benny Thompson. He's that former Capitol Police officer who broke down in tears during the January 6th hearing. They're going to try to rally around him as this, person championing law enforcement. And, of course, the entire race will be about January 6th. Well, and race, actually, of the different sort. So tell me how you're going to differentiate yourself, first of all, from your Republican field and how you might go about winning this seat.
Well, I think as far as differentiating myself from the Republican field, we have 9 candidates, and we've all come out. Well, I would say about half of us have come out to various functions, and I think I distinguish myself by what you alluded to. I have a lot of diverse experience, crime and justice, and getting some law and order back into Maryland and into this country are certainly my primary platforms, but there's a lot of other issues to deal with, certainly. And when I participated in these events, I think my experience really distinguishes myself. I'm an older candidate. I've been around the block a few times. So I think as far as the Republican candidates, it's easy to distinguish myself. Getting to the general election, where we have 22 Democratic candidates running in the 3rd District.
Thank you. Yeah, that's how many they've got. Thank you.
And as you've alluded to, we have this rallying around Harry Dunn, and I'm certainly not going to disparage any candidate, but I'm certainly not going to disparage anybody who's carried a badge and a gun, knowing the difficult job they have. But Mr. Dunn, as I think has pretty well been pointed out, does not live in the 3rd District, as you and I do. And I'm not exactly sure what his role was on the events of January 6th. There's a lot he has running on TV and his ads and whatnot, but I'm not exactly clear what his role was. So I would really enjoy going toe-to-toe with him, or really any of the Democratic candidates, because I think my message of conservatism is one that's long overdue, and I think people in Maryland are longing for a return to some normalcy here.
Well, to pick up on that thread, when we look right now at what's going on in Washington, one of the big issues is just massive spending. And when you consider that a lot of Marylanders can't afford to spend the way that, they're seeing their representatives use the taxpayers like a credit card with no limit, what would you do if you get there to Washington to really push back and be an advocate for those fiscal conservative principles and values?
Well, thank you very much, Patrice, for that point. And I want to say, as I've gone around and putting up signs and whatnot, there is one Democratic candidate running for Senate. If she has one sign at a location, she has 6 signs at a location. And I was at an intersection going down Connecticut Avenue yesterday. There's some construction going on, so I sat for a while. From one vantage point, I was able to count in excess of 20 signs that this candidate had put up. Now, if that's the way you spend your campaign money, how are you going to spend the taxpayer money? And more to your point about what I would do, I would go line by line across everything that Uncle Sam is spending from the taxpayer's wallet and like a wash rag that you can wring out water even though you think it's dry, pull back, claw back some of this money that is going to some of these frivolous programs that absolutely do nothing to address the real world, real life issues that face people that are getting up and going to work every morning.
You say, Art Baker, that battling crime and instilling public safety is going to be a big agenda for you as a member of the House of Representatives, and that's a big agenda item for people who live in the district. Crime has gotten much, much worse recently. What are your plans there, and how can you do that?
Yes, sir. It certainly is an agenda item for me. I have spent 35 years carrying a badge and gun, sworn to protect the people of this country. I was a Baltimore County police officer, so I have local experience as well. I think the first thing to do to address this, what's really an unprecedented crime problem, is to let the police do their jobs. That would be the very first thing. You can go in and do some tinkering with other things that might need to be done, but these feel-good programs, pick people up, take them to have a hot meal rather than to the booking station, that's all got to stop. It's all got to stop. We've got to let the cops do their jobs. Policing is a very difficult job anyway, but the legislature in Maryland has seen fit to make it even more difficult. They stripped law enforcement officers of the due process rights that they had. I watched one of the candidates on television last night, one of the Democratic candidates, touting her accomplishments, and she spent some time on gun control and what she's done for gun control in Maryland. But all she's done, and all anybody in Maryland politics has done for gun control, is to make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens who are following the rules in carrying a concealed weapon, making it more difficult for them to understand what the law is. The politicians never, ever, ever understand that bad people, criminal-inclined people, don't follow laws. That's why they're criminals.
Wait,
they're not going to follow gun control rules.
You're telling me the people who wake up in the morning and are willing to break the laws against armed robbery and murder are going to be stopped because they might be breaking a gun ownership violation? I don't know, Art Baker. That's some crazy talk. Listen, we got to leave it there. Good luck in the race. He's running for the Republican nomination for Maryland's 3rd District. This is an open seat, many open seats in Maryland this year, so it is prime for the taking. The early balloting is happening right now, early voting, and the actual primary is May 14th. It's artformaryland.com. Good luck, Art.
Thanks, Art.
Thanks, both of you.